Hello everyone, welcome to the SBI Securities weekly wrap podcast. So the Indian markets again resumed their downward journey this week after giving a positive close last week. तो निफ्टी और सेंसेक्स 0.8% का करेक्शन देखा हमने बेंचमार्क इंडस्ट्रीज में. ब्रॉडर मार्केट्स में भी परफॉर्मेंस वीक था, तो मोर पेन वाज विटनेस्ड इन द स्मॉल कैप space, and the advance decline ratio was in favor of declines, almost in the ratio of 1:2. So BSE mid cap index ended with cut of 2.1% this week, while the small cap index was down 3.9%. All sectoral indices on the BSE ended the week lower. So among the biggest laggard was the IT index, which ended 5% lower, and the reason behind this was correction in Infosys, Wipro and other large cap IT heavyweights, as well as mid cap IT stocks on growth concerns in the US. तो US में अगर इकोनॉमी वीक रहेगी नेक्स्ट 1 or 2 quarters, तो IT सेक्टर पे ऑब्वियसली इम्पैक्ट आएगा. Consumer durables and the capital goods indexes also closed 2% lower. Auto index also was weak. एंड रिलेटिव आउट परफॉर्मर्स अगर देखें तो पावर इंडेक्स फ्लैट बंद हुआ. FMCG इंडेक्स एंड बैंकिंग इंडेक्स भी रिलेटिवली 0.2% का ही हमने करेक्शन देखा. तो रिलेटिव आउट परफॉर्मर्स रहे इस वीक में. अगर FIIs की बात करें तो नेट सेल फिगर था FIIs का दिस वीक 6,423 crores, while DIIs net bought 3,776 crores in the cash market. The intensity of FII selling is now reducing. So this week was a lower net sell figure. However, still FIIs continue to sell. Key reasons behind the fall this week in our markets was the tariff uncertainty that continued. So flip-flop on tariffs continued. President Trump announces tariffs on one commodity, and the very next day or within the same day he then reverses it. So there are these flip-flops that are continuing, and that is creating uncertainty, and growth concerns are now emerging in the USA. Some estimates also suggest a recession in the near term. एंड रिटेलिएटरी टैरिफ्स फ्रॉम कैनेडा एंड EU. तो दोनों कंट्रीज़ या कंट्रीज़ ने रिटेलिएटरी टैरिफ्स इम्पोज करने वाले हैं ऑन US प्रोडक्ट्स. चाइना हैज़ ऑल्सो इम्पोज्ड टैरिफ्स ऑन US एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्ट्स. सो ग्रोथ इनसाइड द US will be a concern. And also sentiment in the banking sector was spoiled by IndusInd Bank, where the derivative losses led to almost a 30% correction this week in the stock, that is IndusInd Bank, and it led to a large scale impact on other mid cap banks as well as overall on the banking sector. Globally also the cues were very weak, and the correction was witnessed across US, Europe and Asia. So largely global markets also were on the lower side this week. कुछ ब्राइट स्पॉट्स की बात करें तो फेब का इन्फ्लेशन डेटा इंडिया में was lower than estimate, and which has raised hopes of another rate cut in April from the RBI. Jan का IIP was also robust, so domestic facing economy अच्छी कर रही है, especially on the investment side. SIP flows 26,000 crore नंबर फेब में. मंथ ऑन मंथ स्लाइट डिक्लाइन था, बट स्टिल एब्सोल्यूट फिगर देखे तो काफ़ी स्ट्रॉन्ग है. लमसम एक्विटी फ्लोज नीचे थे, बट SIP कंसिस्टेंट SIP फ्लोज वर स्ट्रॉन्ग. एंड ब्रेंट क्रूड अब $70 पे है वर्सेस $80 इन अगर 2 हफ्ते पहले देखे तो. एंड डॉलर इंडेक्स भी 104 लेवल्स पे है. तो ये इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स इंक्लूडिंग इंडिया के लिए पॉजिटिव है. एंड रशिया यूक्रेन का 30-day सीज फायर लाइकली इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होगा, तो इसके चलते भी जियोपॉलिटिकल टेंशन्स कम हो गए, एंड नेचुरली यूरोप स्पेसिफिक जो इन्फ्लेशन था वो नीचे आने के चांसेस है. Coming to the key corporate news this week, so obviously IndusInd Bank, as I mentioned, large derivative loss of about 1,500 crore. So that stock got hammered. Sun Pharma made an acquisition where they will acquire Checkpoint Therapeutics, a US listed company, for $335 million. Godrej Agrovet also will acquire the remaining 48% stake in Creamline Dairy Products for 930 crores. Coromandel International also made an acquisition where where they will acquire 53% stake in NACL Industries, which will expand its presence in the crop protection chemicals. This will be done for 820 crores. Bharti Airtel and Jio were also in focus as both the companies announced tie-ups with SpaceX to bring the Starlink high-speed internet service, satellite communication services to its customers. So both Bharti Airtel and Reliance Industries also were in focus this week. In macro news, as I mentioned, India's inflation came at a 7-month low at 3.6% in Feb, and the biggest factor was the food inflation being lower. US CPI भी lower than estimate था, तो फेब में ये नंबर रिलेटिवली स्टेबल था एट 2.8% YOY. हाउएवर अगर देखें तो टैरिफ्स का इम्पैक्ट मार्च अप्रैल से आना शुरू होगा. Naturally, inflation is expected to be higher at least in the next couple of months in the US. Coming to the major order inflows received during the week, so L&T received a large order from ACWA Power for desalination plant in Saudi. Bharat Electronics received multiple orders, won a large order from Indian Air Force for 2,463 crores. CG Power received a 450 crore order for propulsion systems for the Vande Bharat trains from Kinet Railway Solutions, which is the JV of RVNL and the Russian manufacturer. Polycab got a 3,000 crore order for optic fiber cables from BSNL. वाटेक वाबाग को 340 करोड़ का ऑर्डर मिला फ्रॉम गेल एंड 20 करोड़ फ्रॉम इंडियन ऑयल. तो डोमेस्टिक ऑर्डर्स भी वाटेक वाबाग को मिल रहे हैं. कमिंग टू द कॉल्स फॉर द वीक, तो इस हफ्ते हमने पिक ऑफ द डे में JSW एनर्जी रेकमेंड किया है at a price of 519 for a target of 571. तो समर के चलते पावर डिमांड में ग्रोथ एक्सपेक्टेड है इन द नेक्स्ट 1 to 2 months. एंड ऑल्सो इस कंपनी ने काफ़ी एक्विजिशंस किए हैं पिछले कुछ महीनों में, तो ये कैपेसिटी भी कंट्रीब्यूट करेगी ओवरऑल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी वॉल्यूम्स में. तो JSW एनर्जी लुक्स गुड फ्रॉम अ medium term perspective. Coming to the key events next week, so the FOMC will be meeting to decide on the interest rate. Rates are expected to remain unchanged, but focus will stay on the Fed's commentary over inflation and the economic outlook. Also, the focus will continue on President Trump's tariff tantrums and the flip-flops that are going on. So in this highly volatile times, it's recommended that accumulate good quality stocks which have corrected, which have given a decent correction and are trading at attractive valuations. So this was all about the weekly market podcast. Thank you for listening. For key corporate actions in next week, kindly refer to our weekly wrap report. The link to view the report is shared in the description box below. Thank you and have a happy weekend.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.